Okay. Welcome to Breakdown, the Poet and the Poems, a conversation to spread awareness about poets and their poetry as inspiration and motivation for our everyday lives. I am your host, Tamara J. Madison, and this particular season of Breakdown is called Lineage Literature. And it's based on poets who are writing either based on or heavily inspired by their lineage. And for this episode, I am really excited to introduce our new guest poet, CHISARAOKWU, and her book, Girlhood. All right? Welcome, Chisara. How are you?
I am well. Oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you for the honor.
You look so nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so in case folks are not familiar with you, I am
Mhm.
going to share your bio. Chisara is an Igbo American transdisciplinary poet, artist, and 2025 National Endowment for the Arts Literature Fellow. Her practice, inspired by Igbo tradition and cosmology, quantum physics, and the natural world, weaves archive, collage, film into experimental poetry and visual art. Her work is featured in Michigan Quarterly Review's special issue, African Cartographies, edited by Chris Abani, Anomaly, Beloit Poetry Journal, Transition, Obsidian, and many others. Her writing has been nominated for literature prizes, including the Pushcart Prize, Best of Net Poetry, and Best New American Poets. Her chapbook, This Wake Holding, received the 2023 Evaristo Poetry Prize's honorable mention from the Africa Poetry Book Fund. She is grateful for additional fellowship support from the California Arts Council, Cave Canem, Anaphora Arts, the Black Genius Foundation, Headland Center for the Arts, McDowell, Torch Literary Arts, the Vermont Studio Center, UCross, and more. From 2010 to 2017, she served as a U.S. Commissioner to UNESCO. Before pivoting to the arts, not that she ever really left them, she worked as a pediatrician and trauma specialist and served as a senior advisor and director on health policy for the federal government under the Obama administration. She earned her MD from Duke University, Master's in Public Health from UNC, and BA from Stanford University. Welcome. You're a busy lady. I'm glad you made time for me. Okay? I'm glad
Of
you made
course.
that time. All right. So for anybody watching, I felt like it was really important to share all
Mm,
of this about
mm,
Chisara in terms of how it informs her work and this particular work, Girlhood. Because you come to this work on many layers and you
mm,
come to it from various perspectives. So the
mhm,
first thing that I want to do is share that Girlhood is not yet out, but it's coming. It's coming, and it's coming soon within a few months. And hopefully by the time this episode airs, we'll have, a little bit more information about that. But I do want to read, traditionally what I do is I challenge myself as a writer to do a blurb about each poet's book that I work with. And so I have to say, I did this studying and everything like that of your work, and I just went to bed. I didn't even try to do, I went to bed. I didn't try to do the blurb. I didn't think about
mm,
it. I just went to bed.
mm, mm.
And when I woke up the next morning, these were literally the words that came to me. Okay? You
Mhm.
ready?
Okay.
With fierce rhythm and provocative metaphor, Chisara Girlhood insists that we remember the risk of being born in the female body of
Mm.
color. After all, in a world where some insatiably crave power and dominion over everything, the freedom and innocence of colored girls is short lived, if it is ever lived at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Can
And
I just
that's,
say the chills? But as you were reading, I was like, oh, oh, wow,
yeah.
wow.
And that's hard to say out loud.
Yeah,
That's just, it's hard to say out loud, but it's one of those things that really has to be said. It has to be said because one of the things that came to me was that those who thirst for power in that really unhealthy way, I think sometimes the very first place they start experimenting,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
dot dot dot,
Right.
right?
Precisely.
So it was
Precisely.
just really strange for me to wake up, and that was literally like the first thing that I thought about when I
Hmm.
woke up,
Hmm.
right? And so
Hmm.
when I have those moments, I just kind of feel like, oh, okay, that was sent. That
Right.
that was sent,
Right.
right?
Right.
So before we do anything, I just want to say thank you for doing this work, because this is that hard work. There's this saying in the writing community: write about the very thing you are afraid of, the thing that scares you most, right? I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. You know
Right.
what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Like,
Right.
whatever,
Right.
right?
Right.
But to me, you did that with this.
Not sure.
You did that. And you did it not only for yourself, but you did that
Mm-hmm.
for all of us.
Yeah.
Because there are so many colored girls who will never be able to say anything
That.
about this, right?
That. That.
And sometimes we have to speak for those with the severed tongues and hear their whispers.
Yeah.
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 So I want to, as I said before, that this is the lineage edition series. And
Mm-hmm.
so I want us to start with, before we jump into girlhood, I want us to start with Smoke, your poem Smoke,
Uh,
which is
yeah.
not a part, for those of you who may be watching, it is not a part of her girlhood collection, but we need to start here, and we'll tell you why in just a second.
All right. Smoke. Biafra. 1967. For Asaba. Soldier ants occupy the village. March across limb and rubble. Rub their bellies. Smoke. Cheap cigar. Inhale. Silence. All is well, the nation exhales. No one asks where the villagers have gone, why everywhere the copper scent of flesh burning.
Ashe.
Yeah.
I know on air you're not supposed to have dead silence, but this silence is not at all dead. So, my first question for you is, how does lineage inspire and or inform your work?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Hmm. I think for any human, I'll start with any human, what they grew up around as a child influences, impacts, shapes, counter shapes how they exist in the world, how they grow and develop in the world. So I don't think I'm unique to the idea that my lineage informs or inspires the writing, the art, the living. But I have always been, I guess, a curious child. It's not just what is said, but what is not said. that interests me, the things that I don't see, what is missing of the experience, right? So I'm growing up listening to my mom and dad talking Igbo and just like, what are they saying? And I understand everything they're saying, but I want to know more. It's like there are secrets they are sharing. It's not secrets, it's you know how two folks know they've known each other for a long time. And so when they're talking, there's just code. There are things that don't have to be said because they know in passing. Like I'm interested in that. What's that thing that is not being spoken that they understand? Just to get a better understanding, comprehension of the environment that they're coming from. And I will admit, growing up in the US, I felt like for me, home was where they called home. And so I always wanted to be there, whether it was geographically, spiritually, lingually, like to be able to speak and sound like the home that made them smile, or the home that they were always worried about. Because, for most Nigerians coming to this country, 70s, 80s, it's like, oh, we hope Nigeria can stand strong. There's this hope and that there's this frustration. And I wanted to be all in that mix. So yeah, there's a little bit of me just wanting to understand them a little bit more, but in a way help myself to understand me and my place in the world. So I hope that's answering your question because for me, lineage is almost like home, right? It's almost like the space where you belong, that thing that makes you you. So why not try and find out more about what that is?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So home for you wasn't just a physical place.
No, no, not in the least bit. And we moved around a lot. So I was used to like a house being like, oh, okay, this is the house we lived in from 3 to 4. This is the house we lived in from 8 to 10. Like it's like different scenes in a movie to the point where like, okay, I understand a house is just a house, but what is home?
Hmm.
Even earlier this morning, I overheard my mom saying something about home or something that's happening at home. And she used the word home. And I was like, ha, how many years later and it's still home? It's just that place, that space. No matter how far you are from it, it's still a part of you. No matter how far away I am from my lineage, my ancestry, whatever, I'm still a part of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Even for the people who try to run from it, they're still a
Girl,
part
bye.
of it.
Right. You can't outrun where you came from. Like you can try and reshape or break cycles, break generational cycles, habits, whatever. But that's still part of you. And I think life is in part accepting. You don't have to carry it with you, but you can accept it and then move forward.
I don't know. I think that to me, it's
Mm-hmm.
related because
Mm.
one of the things that I was thinking about, I had girlhood, which is what we're
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
focused on today.
Mm-hmm.
But I also ask you to share some with me the poems
Yeah.
that you're doing on the Biafra War, right?
Right.
And I, to me, there was a relationship between it
Mm-hmm.
because it made me think about what happens to female bodies
Mm.
during wartime, right?
Yeah. Right. Right.
Um, and then, of course, I thought about that and I thought about the wartime that is going on right now,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
the threat to female bodies at this
Mm-hmm.
particular time, on top of what is already going on in the culture,
In the Yeah.
right? Bodies
Yeah.
disappearing,
That's
bodies
right.
being used for experimentation, bodies being
Yes.
used for their organs,
Right.
bodies being trafficked for various
Right.
reasons.
Right.
And so to me, there was a relationship. There
Yeah.
was a relationship there. And so it didn't surprise me. There was
Mm-hmm.
definitely a connection. And I think
Yeah.
I have to say, I think you had a very intellectual and sophisticated way of saying that you were basically the nosy child. The nosy child that wanted to know about what they weren't telling you. But no wonder
Listen.
you're a writer, right?
No.
That automatically reads to you being a writer, right?
Oh,
So,
Lord.
of course,
Oh my
of
goodness.
course.
I can't let my mama see this. Oh no.
Oh, yes, yes, you
It
can.
proves
Yes, you can.
everything that she said.
Let me
Like,
tell
you're
you,
always listening.
I'm going to send her the link then. If you're not going to tell her, I will send her the link.
Nabbit.
All right, so let's get this started. I want to say first that
Yes.
for the audience, you may hear words that you're not familiar with. And that's because Chisara has this thing of dropping a little language and Igbo and what have you into different places. And so just be prepared for that. We're going to go to God Answers an Origin Story. Where did the title, before you even read it, where did the title come from?
Oh Lord. Um, well, it was inspired by my name. That's the short answer. It was inspired by my name. Yeah. So my full name, Chisaroku, means in a way God answers prayer in modern Igbo lingual. It means God answers prayer. So in the structuring of the larger manuscript, I was thinking about questions and answers.
Mhm.
So here is God answering, right? An origin story. I'm specific about saying an origin story because all of us have not just one cover story or origin story about themselves. Some are more mythologized than others. Some are closer to true. Some are like a varied mix, especially when, I mean, just in society in general, but if you're thinking about those who have had traumatic experiences, whether it's war, whether it's sexual assault or something that happens in the medical field, whatever it is, there is a way that the brain wants to recreate stories. And so this is kind of speaking to that. There's the God answers, but then there's this origin story that may not be the exact one, or maybe it is, or maybe it's something different. But there's all this orchestrating that happens. What is it when we say this is how we began? What is it really telling us about us in that particular moment? Not even how we actually began, whether it was 40, 50, 70 years ago, but what we're saying about how we began.
That's a perfect segue into your poem. Would you
Ashe.
read it for us, please?
Yes. God answers an origin story. Child of boiling water and chicken feathers, egusi soup and hot metal pressing coils and ultra sheen, smash flat stiff coif ruled by morning dew, Louisiana swamp, Louisiana bayou, square dancing, horse riding, veined flesh, basket of wound sound unheard, in a house made of cobwebs and screams, on a drive named after Winston, whose accidental place in history is the lot where bodies press and fold on springy mattresses with cotton white sheets inked with blood-stained roses, child, slick shine from Vaseline and Uri, eyes slick wet from body brine, two mouths mashing, rough hands pressing, pink roses plucking petals, planting thorns.
Okay.
Mm,
So I just want to make sure this is not my imagination and not
yes,
my doing. You
yes,
did write this in the shape of Louisiana, right?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So for those of you who cannot see the text, the poem is written and it forms the shape of Louisiana. Were you born
Mhm.
in Louisiana?
No, ma'am. No, I was not born in Louisiana. However, I did spend several formative years there. I started grammar school there, and then midway through, we moved to California. So,
Hmm.
yeah. So I
Okay.
like, when it's funny, some people, when they see me, they don't necessarily know my heritage, but they hear, oh, you came from Louisiana. They're like, oh, that makes sense. Just looking at me, I'm like, no, 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 that's not exactly it. But yeah, Louisiana. Mhm.
So you have to say, no, 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 that's not it.
Yeah.
So you have in one line of a
hmm
poem,
hmm
you have egusi soup and ultra sheen. I just
Yes.
want to bring that up, right?
I'm just saying.
Then you have Vaseline and
hmm
Ori.
Yes.
Okay.
That's real.
Most of the time in the United States, when
Uh-huh.
people talk of someone being from a diverse background
Mm-hmm.
or mixed, right?
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
think of a black white mix, right?
That's right. That's
How
right.
did it feel to be an amalgamation of cultures?
Mm,
An
mm,
amalgamation of cultures that most folks couldn't even begin to imagine.
mm. Yeah, I don't even know if I had thought of it that way, but I did recognize from a very early age that things were different. Like how I saw the world was different. How I spoke about it was literally different because I had my parents' accent and syllabic emphases on different words. So people could audibly hear that there was something different going on with me. Like, how come she doesn't pronounce these words this way and she pronounces it maybe either like an African or like even an English person from Britain?
Wait, wait,
Um,
wait, 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 wait. Because
yeah,
I say
yeah.
okra, okra. You say,
Okra.
there we go. There we go. There we go. Just in
Oh,
case people needed an example, right? Go ahead. Go ahead. Excuse me for
the worst
interrupting.
part is it's taken me like 40 years to figure out how to say it like y'all.
And I was thinking when I was reading, like your intro and everything,
Uh-huh.
and then you said your name, I was like, damn, I thought I was close, right? I was really trying, right? Really trying. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But anyway, so the amalgamation of cultures, it was interesting. Listen, I think for most folks whose parents are not from here or they themselves were born elsewhere and brought here as a kid, you're going to get the name calling, you're going to get the your food smells funny. It's going to be all those different things, but I will tell you I was very fortunate to grow up in a family with parents who were very strong in their culture. We had a thriving Nigerian community here around us, and my dad and mom, particularly my dad, had friends from everywhere. So it wasn't just Nigeria. You'd have friends from the Middle East, from Northern Africa, everywhere. And so I never felt like I was different. Different was normal, right? Even in elementary school, my class we had Muslims, we had Christians, we had atheists, we had Jews, kids, their parents representing, their beliefs. But then we had black, white, and when I say Asian, I mean we had Korean, we had Chinese, Vietnamese, Cambodian, Filipino. Like, of course, we all sound different, and that made sense. Yeah, we were surrounded, at least my experience, surrounded by enough difference that difference wasn't different.
No, I have a correction. I would
Okay.
challenge you to say
Uh-huh.
in a really multicultural environment,
Mm-hmm.
difference is different, but
Mm-hmm.
it's respected.
Oh,
It's
yes. Facts.
acknowledged
100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's
100.
respected,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Because I
Definitely.
noticed a lot of the time when you have a really multicultural environment,
Yeah.
everybody expects that something
Yeah.
is going to smell
Yeah.
different or
Yeah.
look
Yeah. Yeah.
different
Yeah.
or
Right.
sound different.
Right. Right.
And that's acknowledged and it's respected.
Or even have experienced the negative side of difference. And so bring that understanding and compassion to, like, okay, so I don't like the smell of certain foods, but oh, I understand folks don't like mine. What I'm not going to do is say, ew, your food smells funny.
Oh, you gonna eat that? That's the one I
Ooh,
hate. Oh,
ooh,
you
oh
gonna
my
eat that?
gosh. Like, you eat goat? I'm like, yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. What are we talking about?
Hmm.
Listen,
Hmm.
anyway.
Okay, you do know that we were heading off into a Taurus
Yes,
conversation, right? So
but
we're
that's
gonna
what
come
we
back
do.
to the poems. We're gonna come back to the poems. So let's go to plucking petals, planting thorns.
Mm, yeah.
Planting thorns. I thought it was interesting the way thorns showed up twice in the manuscript. And I want you to know one of the things that I wrote, one of my notes on this page is what can possibly grow from planted thorns,
Mm,
right? And
mm.
so let's go into the next poem,
Ashe.
Forensics. This is one of the reasons why I really wanted to read your full bio with your medical background and
Mhm.
your UNESCO background and all of those things, because to me that informs the way that you approach the issue of girlhood, as well as your poems. So, will you share forensics for us, please?
Yeah. Hmm. Forensics. State your name. What happened? There are many words for this thing. We learned this in the bathtub, on the playground, swinging from monkey bars, sucking on butterscotch and caramels, singing, "We are family." Curious species we are, tender-boned and ready for nothing. How old were you at the time? I am always as old as that time. Did you tell anyone what happened? I am what happened. Can you tell us who did this to you? The answer is unchanged. The answer has taken residence between my legs. The answer takes and takes and takes. Without a name, we can't help you. Who is we?
So, this poem does some really interesting things to me. First of all, the first line is state your name, and there's no answer. Like this kind of emotional, sexual, physical trauma leaves you nameless. Like
Mm-hmm.
it snatches and takes your name, right? And then the what happened, and then you say there are many names for this. How old were you at the time? I am always as old as that time, as if time never passes from that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Goodness, even at the end, without a name, we can't help you. Who is we? Questioning the one who is supposed to be of assistance, not believing that anything can really help or assist or bring justice to this. You
Mm-hmm.
say all of this in this poem with what is not being said,
Right.
really interestingly, right? And I wrote in my notes that this particular poem is as intimate and specific as it is far reaching and widespread,
Mm-hmm.
right? It
Yeah.
appears to be very simple and very
Yeah.
technical,
Mm-hmm.
but it's actually real personal,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? To that place where there is shame and where there is hurt. And
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to ask you, how do you feel that your technical and medical background informs your art? Like the way that you shape a poem, or the way even perhaps a poem comes to you?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question, especially for this particular poem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, the idea of this came, or the inspiration behind it came while I was a clinical fellow at Yale in child abuse and neglect. So I was doing a postdoc at Yale and was also a clinical fellow working with the director of the child abuse and neglect department in pediatrics. And what I came to understand, and I should say this, from most of my later college years, medical school, residency, postdoc, practicing, I was in this space, in the child abuse and neglect space or child maltreatment, working with physicians, social workers, police departments, judges, forensics teams, all of them to help figure out if a child was actually being abused or if there was a disease that was correlating with this, like a brittle bone disease versus somebody's actually physically assaulting this child, or doing examinations of young girls who are coming and saying that they have a story or their parents are worried about X, Y, and Z, and trying to reassure them or at least give them an understanding of what might be taking place with their child, right? So all of that is background for my experience. And while I was at Yale, I began to think of forms, the kind of forms that we fill out, the kind of questions that are asked. Um, for whatever reason, in this moment, I'm just remembering two kids that came into one of the spaces and we were watching a forensics interview. But these are the kinds of things, and it's got me choked up a little bit. But these are the kinds of things that inform this work. There's always give us your name. There's always there are these questions that we're depending on your age. What are the answers that they give, right? And most kids are as direct as they can be, right? But I think what I'm trying to say is there's the clinical aspect of it, but I started to understand that each answer has a story behind it. There is something that has happened. There is something that's been experienced that maybe we, if we're not attuned to, aren't hearing, right? Or that we as a society need to understand a bit more. And I wish we were in a society where the trafficking of young boys and young girls was so outrageous that it just didn't happen, but we're not in that society. And so I think that one of my jobs or my ministry is to make that very plain and uh, not give leverage for making excuses or hiding behind something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How would you answer the last question of the poem? Who is we?
Ooh. Well, the speaker in that case, I think, is being like, so you think you're a part of this solution, right? So there's a cynicism, there's a wanting to distance. They're like, who are you to say what's going to help me? You know, you've been asking me all of these questions, but are you really hearing my answer? Because your questions don't seem to be coming back to what I'm saying, right? So who is the we? But in the larger collection and explorations that I've been doing, we has become not only the parts of ourselves that exist, like, you know, today I'm going to be mom, tomorrow I'm daughter, or in the next hour I'm going to be chef, you know, like all these different parts of us, versus the larger collective, all these people who have experienced this thing. Who is we? It's this army of women and men, boys and girls, people who have experienced this thing. We are going to help ourselves, right? Like we're going to heal. We're going to reimagine and recreate spaces for our own safety. That we is, well, to drop a line from another poem in the collection, it contains multitudes.
I was jotting down some questions as you were speaking
Mm,
that were not at all a part of my plan. Um, but this is where we need to go.
mm.
What kind of questions should we be asking?
Ooh, Lord have mercy. That's a good question. I don't know if it's so much asking questions as it is listening, as it is reflecting back what has been spoken or not spoken. Good example. I saw this video on Instagram the other day where a mom was trying to console her daughter who couldn't wear her Beyonce boots to school. And the dad is trying to coach the mom in understanding that the child is feeling sad because she can't wear her Beyonce boots. And so the dad is telling mom, she's sad. Tell her that she's sad, that you acknowledge that she's sad. And eventually the mom gets it. The mom is like, oh, okay, you're sad because you can't, you know, wear the Beyonce boots. I understand. And as the mom was reflecting more and more what the child was feeling in words so the child could hear it, you can literally watch it. The child is going from being on mom's lap, heads in the lap, and just to like all of a sudden embracing her mom. They're like, it's just like the child had found somebody who was listening to her. Now, I might be projecting, but I liked watching the actions of what the child was doing as the mom got closer and closer to naming how it was, the emotion that the child was feeling. And then at the end of that video, to be able to see the child just like collapse onto mom, it's like, okay, like to me, I looked at the child and I was like, yeah, mom finally gets it, in that sense. But it's that more than just more questions, right? Excuse me, because many of us are on trial, right? Whenever things happen to us, whether it's physical abuse, sexual abuse, assault, whatever it is, we're on trial. We're made there's a hierarchy difference. Who's in charge and who isn't? Those questions don't always help. They don't make you feel heard. Somebody just wants to be heard, right? To be understood and to have those words reflected back. Yes, there's a time and a place for more clinical aspects of things, but I don't think it's questions. In this moment is beyond questions.
That's the difference, because I jotted this question down as well. Are the stories behind all of this important, right? And as you were speaking earlier, I was thinking of how the clinical approach is
Mm-hmm.
often who did it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we can't really control another who,
Yeah.
right?
No, we can't. Mm-hmm.
What happened is still another detached thing, right? Because it's in the past,
Mm-hmm.
technically.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get the story usually transports us to the moment.
Yeah.
And the story usually, especially a good story, is often how we share our humanity. And humanity is where it hurts.
Mm. I say.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it
Yeah.
was just reminding me, between the poem and your discussion of it,
Mm-hmm.
it was reminding me how very often we go after the clinical and
Yeah.
the tangible,
Mm-hmm.
right? As opposed to the human aspect
Yeah.
of the thing, right?
Yeah. The
Who's there?
vulnerable aspect.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the question becomes, who's there to listen to the story where everything else is translated, right?
Oof. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
piece is just, it's just so heavily layered,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it made me think of how many have sat through this same process. State your name,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And in I think sometimes the other person might be afraid to say, where does it hurt?
Right. Right. Right.
Right? Because if I ask you, where does it hurt, then the ball comes back in my court to receive that and maybe touch it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
how do I even
Mm-hmm.
begin to do that? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
it's just really
Yeah.
interesting how, as technical as the poem appears, it's so very intimate
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
in such vulnerable places, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very short piece, but very heavy, very,
Yeah.
very, very heavy. Um, let's switch to Four in Search of Rainbow.
Hmm. I say.
Four in Search of Rainbow on page 23. And I think I'm so grateful for how this is moving and working, because you just said that we is a
Yeah.
multitude of those who have experienced this, and
Yeah.
we are the ones who are going to heal us, not some outside beyond entity, right?
Yeah.
And I think we're almost to that poem, but before we get to that one, I want us to go into For in Search of Rainbow.
Ashe. Four in Search of Rainbow, after Tina Chang. There were four girls with one name. The first, rooted in oak and honeysuckle, found sun under every shadow. When the watchman summoned her for playtime every noon, she'd close her eyes and dream of blue oysters swallowing her fingers, then her toes, then her everything. Another believed in fairy tales, gifted herself a different name, insisted the alchemy of cowrie, dove feather, and rage would rent time in two. If she could just step through, she would be free of blood and gravity, live something soft and green. The third, the preacher's daughter, summoned the winged elm and the iroko, ghosts of savannah and bush and all Alusi by name, but not her father's god, who insisted her red lips made her Satan's whore. And before them turned into wind and buried herself in the ocean. The fourth, tender, budding, hovered above a small white bed where her body froze under the writhing weight of a friend's brother, an uncle, a teacher. Never to return to her body, never to return home.
So these are like some of those
Yeah,
in the multitude,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And this poem lets us know the different ways that they are trying to heal. And obviously, with the fourth, we find that there are some who will never
Mm-hmm.
heal, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In the way that we think healing should happen,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Um, why four?
Because I like that number.
Okay. The reason why I asked
Uh-huh.
that question is
Also, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
because it made me think of the four little girls that were destroyed in the
Ashe,
bombing,
Ashe.
right?
Mm, mm,
This poem had that reference for me.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, their innocence, being at Sunday school of all
Right,
places,
right, right,
right?
right.
And how even being at the right place at the right time, just like mom and daddy said, a bomb
Yeah.
explodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it made me think of that. And then, of course, In Search
Mm-hmm.
of Rainbow
Yes,
and the
yeah.
term colored girls. I wanted to ask you,
Mm,
was that on purpose? Because it made me think of For Colored Girls in Search, who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough by
yeah.
Dr. Shange, right?
Yes, yeah.
Did you think about this when you were first
Absolutely.
penning this poem?
Absolutely. Well, I'm always thinking of it. Let's put it that way. The way For Colored Girls has influenced my childhood, adult, like I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere
Wait,
for me.
wait, wait. Do you remember the first time you read it?
Good Lord. No, actually I
Oh, I
don't.
do. I do.
Really, I do not remember the first. I feel like I was in high school, but it might have been earlier because I was one of those kind of kids. I just read everything. Um, but I always know that it's in back of mind. And as I was writing this, I was thinking of the different voices, and you'll see this throughout the manuscript itself, like or the collection itself. There are different voices. There are different women who are coming through, and I have always appreciated that. I felt like Dr. Shange had hit it on the nail with that. That was spirit that led her. So yeah. So I was thinking rainbow. I was.
I noticed that you did a little something different though.
What did I do?
Because she said, who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough?
Uh-huh.
You said,
Uh-huh.
for in search of rainbow, capital
Yeah.
R,
Yeah.
as if rainbow is its own heaven, its own planet, its own entity, its
Its
own
own thing.
something,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
Was that on purpose?
That was on purpose. Yeah. 100. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I should.
Like it would, as if it is. Oh, it makes me think, feel like it's a place that's made especially
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
girls like
Mm-hmm.
this,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like they're the only ones that get to get into
Mm. This
that
place.
place,
Yeah.
right? Which I
Yeah.
thought was really, really, really beautiful, really,
Oh,
really
Shay,
beautiful.
thank you.
Um,
Yeah.
Her body froze, never to return to her body, never to return home. So there's that word home again,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it
Yeah.
made me immediately think of how many people, for various reasons, are not
Yeah.
at home in their own bodies.
That's right.
And when you're struggling with that already,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a home invasion,
That's right. That's right.
right? That's a whole, it's just a whole other
It's a
thing.
whole nother thing.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
a whole
even
nother
have words
thing.
for it. I don't even
It,
have words for it.
I don't either, and I do want to say though to that point, it's yes, a lot of what we were talking about is the child abuse and neglect, the sexual assault, all that stuff. But this happens when you're forcibly removed from your home, right? Forcibly displaced from your physical home, like the space or your community, whether that's happening here in the States or overseas, like that level of disruption. And then you have another disruption on top of that. Folks just, the level of indignity in ripping somebody away from their home in whatever way you do it, whether the body is home or the physical home is taken away from you, is a trauma that is it is a challenge to repair.
Mm-hmm.
And some people never return home physically, spiritually, corporally, it's just, sometimes I wonder about us humans, but that's another story for another day.
But therein lies the beauty and the
Hmm.
power of what you were saying about your origin story,
Hmm. Yes,
about
right,
how
right.
you and your family
Yeah,
always move from place to place. Oh,
right.
this is the house we were in from this year to this year.
Right, right, right,
But there
right.
was something about home that was always implanted,
That's right.
that came
That's right.
from the inside
Right.
out.
That's
And
right.
so it was easy for
That's
you
right.
to carry it with you.
That's right.
And unfortunately, a lot of people don't grow up with that. They
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
They think of home as being attached to something
Hmm.
outside of them, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so you were blessed to have that from the inside out,
100.
which is
Mm.
a perfect segue to Girl on the Page,
Ooh. Oh. Oh. Okay. You
page
gonna read that
21.
one?
Yeah,
Okay.
Girl on the Page, page 21.
Okay.
Because I personally feel like that thing of home being from the inside is
Mm-hmm.
part of what is going on in this piece because she's digging for it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Ashe.
So let's go with that one.
All right. Girl on the page. I begin with white paper, charcoal for sketches in hand, circle the blossomed abyss, conjure deep blue, hold fast this charge towards motley madness. Hourly, I grasp wounds I cannot broker. Scratch that. I grasp words I cannot breathe. I begin again with white paper, add black body to the page. Swirl and mix a survival elixir, survival and elixir. I drink. I survive. I split I bruised. I rewrite old streets into prayer, scriblash and scold into funk and praise for the new work. I dip the blue-black love-deep archive of this body, scribble its mosaic scar, reimagined as silk releasing thorns, and other abysmal statistics that say, forgive yourself for ever believing you came from nothing. Then turn the page, begin again. Girl, I haven't read that in a long time, actually.
So
I was like, oh,
listen,
that's right.
so there are so many things going on for me with this, right?
Okay.
First, I'm thinking of the fourth girl from
Mm-hmm.
the last poem
That's right.
who froze
Mm-hmm.
and never returned home,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when I read about her, I felt like, okay, we have to hold energy for her because she's one of the lost ones,
Ashe.
right?
Yeah.
And then when I look at girl on the page in this poem,
Mm-hmm.
I see her I see her as being invincible, right? Because she says, scrib, lash, and scold into funk and praise for the new work. Like, yeah, this is a wound, this is a scar, this is many things, but it's really just new work. How powerful is that, right? She is not, she is not drowned in anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? She is
Yeah.
not overtaken. She simply sees it as new work, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how powerful it was for her to have her writing, her art, her something that she could dissect herself. And see,
Mm-hmm.
you have this really funky way of being a poet and a doctor at the same time on the page, because
Really?
some of the things, yeah, because some of the things that you're describing here
Mm-hmm.
sound so technical and surgical, like abysmal statistics,
Statistics.
right? That's in the same poem as mosaic scar, right?
Yeah.
We've got scar and mosaic in the same thing, right? You have this, and that's why I wanted to read all of your bio,
Right,
because
right,
all of that
right.
stuff
Like,
goes into this. I
yes.
grasp wounds I cannot broker. So you've
Mm-hmm.
got Wall Street and the hospital all on the same line, right? You have all of these things
Yeah.
swirling
I
around,
mean, like,
motley and madness, right? And
mm-hmm.
then you have reimagined as silk releasing thorns, which takes us back to that first page
Mm-hmm.
and the thorns being planted. But
Mm-hmm.
by the time we get here, she is unearthing the thorns and releasing them,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
plucking the wounds from or bullets from her
Mm-hmm.
body and
Mm-hmm.
releasing them. And I know this is corny, but it reminds me of that moment in The Matrix when Neo just stands there and he stops the bullets
Yeah.
and he
Oh, when he's
turns
going
them
like
around.
this?
Right,
Yeah,
right, right.
yeah,
And he
yeah.
sends them back.
Right, right,
Right.
right.
He's no longer afraid of them
Mm-mm.
hitting them. He
Yeah.
knows that he has the power to stop them
That's
and
it.
return them of all things. And so this piece was, I loved this piece so much because, first of all, I think I needed it.
Ashe.
After everything in the book, it was like, whoo,
Mm-hmm.
I need a
Mm-hmm.
minute, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I needed this because this is empowerment,
Yeah.
right? This piece to me was absolutely empowerment. And I want to mention this line again. Forgive yourself for ever believing you came from nothing. Like, how is that even possible
Mm.
to come from nothing? And how is it that something, someone, some terror, some trauma can make us so easily believe
Yeah.
that,
Right.
right?
Right.
And this girl with the page
Mm-hmm.
refuses that. She
Yeah.
is rewriting herself and her origin story as she
Mm-hmm.
chooses. How
Mm-hmm.
beautiful that is. And
Begin again.
the ending about begin again, like, and you can rewrite yourself as many
That's it.
times as you
That's it.
want,
That's it. That's it.
right?
Keep
And
going
so
every day.
many people do not
Mm-hmm.
realize that. They let,
Right.
first of all, they let somebody else rewrite their story,
Right.
right?
Right.
Or
That's
they
it.
let
That's
someone
it.
else shred and tear up or
That's right.
destroy their
That's
story.
right.
And they
That's
don't
right.
realize that they have the
Right.
power to rewrite it again.
Literally the
Um,
agency to do so.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it, and that is, that behooves those
Hmm.
who thirst for that power, like I mentioned in
Yeah.
the blurb, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think is the best way to empower a colored girl, or the
I
most
think.
effective way to empower a colored girl for the world that we're living in right now?
Mm. I don't think it's any one thing, but I do think that one, meet this colored girl where she is, right? Whether it's down to the ground because she's small, or like eye to eye because she's a little bit older, and listen, like I mentioned before. But there's also, and I know not everybody is a touchy-feely person, but there is something to be said about a well-placed hand on the back, or just an embrace, so somebody can, for lack of a better word, collapse or rest into an embrace. Um, I think in this country, in this society, Black women, I'm going to say specifically Black women, have endured way more than they deserve, than we deserve, right? Um, what happens when a Black woman or a Black girl is embraced, is held physically, literally, spiritually, whatnot, and not asked to be anything, to do anything that is outside of themselves. There's so many tropes, the strong Black woman, the angry Black woman. There's so many things that society wants to say about who we are and how we should exist in the world. What if, as I am, I could be held? What if, as I am, I'm listened to, reflected back, what I say, what I do, and appreciated? That's basic. That's basic. Do you see me as human? Then that's basic, right? Like, so I guess it depends on who is the one that is in our circle. Then maybe my answer will change. But like for the most part, it's meet us where we're at. Listen, reflect back. Be like that mom in that example that I was talking about, who's like, she's learning as she's going, but the more she reflected back how the child was feeling, the safer that child felt to just ashe, you know?
Yeah.
I,
To me, that goes back to the stories.
yeah,
Because if we listen, then we'll hear her stories.
yeah,
And
yeah,
her stories will tell us who she is
right.
and what she needs.
Right. And what she needs. And what she needs. Because we are very quick to, in this moment, I'm thinking of it, like things that happen to us women, women and men will immediately come up with a whole story about who this person is, may criticize them, may belittle them, may say, why were you here? Why were you there? Like all of this stuff they have no clue about. But if they just took a moment, there's so much, Tamara,
Yeah,
so
there
much.
is. There is. There is. Yeah. I did not ask you to read this one, but I
Mm-hmm.
just want to mention it. Flash.
Mm.
I
Huh.
know I saw that piece a while ago,
Uh-huh. Yes.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
But I just understood it differently and so
Mm.
deeply after reading the collection,
Mm.
right? And
Mm.
that's where the line in my blurb comes from when I say something about the freedom and innocence of colored girls is short lived.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think the piece Flash about those two little girls in their free
Mm-hmm.
space,
Mm-hmm.
I think that really influenced me in a very different way.
Gotcha.
Um, and I think that piece is really essential to this collection,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because it's the beacon. That
Mm-hmm.
piece and then Girl on the Page, they're like the beacons in this book,
Mm-hmm.
right? All right. So let's go to a chanting hustle for the color girls. And while you're looking at that, or looking for that, I just want to mention to anyone who'll be watching this, there are references to music in this piece. The song Sweet in the Morning by Bobby McFerrin, which I really, really
Yeah.
love. And
Yes.
then the Negro spiritual Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. She's got that in
Yes.
here too.
Yeah.
And before we start, I want to say I asked Hisara if we could read this in tandem. And you'll see why in a minute. But let's start. Would you share with folks what is a hustle? And I want to say normally when I'm working in
Yeah.
this space and on this
Mhm.
platform, I don't go a lot into form, right?
Yeah.
Because I
Right.
want this platform to be for anybody
That's
who's
right.
into poetry and not necessarily from an academic perspective. But
Okay.
for this piece, I think it's important to say what the form is. So, would you
Okay.
explain to them what a hustle is?
A hustle is, I believe, a 14-line poem that originated, it's an art form or poetic form that is Persian, Arabic in tradition from like around the seventh century. So it's been around forever. It is, I cannot remember if it is about love, if that's the motivation behind it. But every refrain or every line, it ends with a word that is repeated over and over again. So it's almost sounds like a song. And in this case, I actually expanded that idea of song for this chant. So when I perform it or when I read it, it often comes out as a chant slash song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I want to mention for those of you who will be listening, the word that is chanted is morning.
Mhm.
And Chisara, being who she is, decided to use two mornings. She
That's
uses
right.
morning as in the sun rising, and mourning as in keening or deep sadness and anguish. Yes?
Yeah.
And so we've got these two extremes that are going off and on in the poem. But I have to say, what I love about that is
Mm,
the fact that you put them equally together, in and out, in and out, in and out. You are reminding us of the cycle of life,
that's
right?
right.
Like up and down, up and down, up and down.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's just the way it goes, up and down, up and down, up and down, right? The whole
Mhm.
thing of opposites, the yin and the yang, the black and the
Right.
white, and all of
Right.
that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Right.
And I think that you do that in a really beautiful way here. So,
Thank you.
um, when you are ready,
Ashe. A chanting hustle for the colored girls after Bobby McFerrin. After the nighttime woundings come sweet in thee.
morning,
Tongues tomb silent with the weight of
morning,
blackberries forced to ripen and split each.
morning,
Bury white blight till bosoms bloat blue every
morning,
blessed,
morning,
bearer of blister, blister of dark, dark blister of night skin, night blistering each.
mornings, morning,
Bitter fruit in Eve's throat caught song, it is,
morning,
chanting,
morning,
humming,
morning, morning, morning,
wailing,
morning,
sweet,
morning,
whispering,
morning,
oh,
morning,
whispering blood into breath, blood whispering blood into breath, blood whispering blood, blood whispering whisper sky seeps,
morning,
purpling sky, blood wrestling skies, blood whispering eyes come open,
morning,
breathe sweet,
morning,
breath plead the ancestors' spirits speak this,
morning,
girl breath, girl body, girl gone, each.
morning,
Girl breath, girl body, girl gone, each.
morning,
Breath body, breath gone, each girl, each.
morning,
Body breathe, body gone, girl breathe this.
morning,
Gone girl, black, gone girl, taxed, gone girl, caught, still life in.
morning,
Swing, God, swing low this.
morning,
Thy kingdom come this.
morning,
Every black woman alive is a miracle in.
morning,
Hashtag a name to wake the.
morning,
Hashtag a name to wake a body in.
morning,
Say her name this.
morning,
While we breathe this.
morning,
Say our names each.
morning,
While we breathe this.
morning,
Praise our names each.
morning,
Cycle break this.
morning. Cycle break this morning. How does that feel?
That felt great. Yeah. I think reading it that way and hearing it that way, yeah, that elevated the tenor, tone, and impact of the poem. Um, I, when you write, you have what you think, and then and you're like, well, let me just go with the flow, and you put it down on paper until poem tells you that it's done, and then you read it, and you're like, what? But then you do this, and you're like,
Mm.
oh, because I don't know if this happens to you, but like you don't know. Like you're writing. You don't know what it's gonna do. You don't know where you're gonna go, but you just trust that you're going to get there. And this just reading this, I guess what I'm telling you is that I didn't know when I started, but here I didn't know fully because I had an understanding. That's just how I move. But I think you'll come to a poem, and I know you know this. You can come back to a poem 5 years later, 10 years, 15 years later. You hear it again for the first time, and you're like, Ashe, got it. Okay. That's what that felt like in this moment.
So I want to rewind for just a second because it took everything in me not to interrupt you. Um, when you said when you started this piece, you didn't know for sure where it was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what that says about girl on the page
Mm.
and what
Yeah.
courage she has. Because when she picks up that pen and approaches the page with
Right.
this idea to rewrite herself, she doesn't always know where it's going to go.
Mm-mm.
What
Yeah.
courage!
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
That says a whole
Okay.
lot.
That says a whole lot. Ashe.
Hmm.
That's instruction. Hmm. Hmm.
And she both mourns
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
mourns
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
page,
Yeah.
right? She breaks open her own new sunrise on that page, right?
Hmm.
And that's the thing that, we have to help colored girls remember to
Yes.
do.
Yes. Yes. That part.
How do you break open your own mourning?
Mm-hmm.
Both of them. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Have you ever
Wow.
thought about putting this piece on stage?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Wait, you mean this piece or the collection?
The collection.
Well, in this conversation,
Mhm.
yes. Yes. I was like, oh, okay. So basically, but yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
100.
keep us posted in how that
Absolutely.
goes.
Absolutely.
And again, let us know. We know that this is coming out in book form. We can't say too
Yeah.
much about that now,
Yeah.
but hopefully, when that comes out, we can add it to the description and everything for the video.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Poet Person. You. Thank you. My partner in poetry
Right.
crimes. I'm Batman though. You're Robin.
No.
I'm Batman.
You can be Batman. I'm in my own, I'm Storm. There we are.
Okay. Wait a minute. That's a whole nother. No, that's another universe, right?
That's right.
Yeah. That's not. But we're poets. We can
We're
do that.
poets.
We can put
Exactly.
DC and Marvel together, and it's all good,
Like
right?
what? What are we talking about? The multiverse. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. First
Thank
and
you.
foremost for doing this work,
Ashe.
because it just brings up a whole fountain of right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it is so very necessary. And I look forward to a time when it is not, but
Yeah.
that's not the time at the moment.
Yeah.
And so, people who are doing this work, thank you so much,
Ashe.
because it is for so many who can't even begin to
Mm.
open their mouth for the story,
That's
let
right.
alone
That's right.
anything else. And thank you for coming, because I know you're incredibly busy, got a lot of
Oh,
stuff going on. So I
Ashe.
appreciate
No,
this.
thank you. Thank you.
Anything you want to share with us before we wrap up?
No, just yes, how grateful I am for the opportunity to talk about this. This really helped me. And also thank you for your love of poetry I've always known, but just your willingness, ability to find the vulnerability in the poems, to recognize the courage it takes to write, the close reading, for the intimate reading that you do of the work is it's a blessing. It's a blessing because it's not often that you hear, especially here, poets being praised for their work. I think it's always made to feel like it's inaccessible, not approachable, like who's going to understand it. But what you're doing and how you're doing it just flips the narrative on that. It says, no, no, this is for us. This is something that's for all of us and can benefit all of us. So thank you.
Yes, and thank you for saying that and for seeing that. I often say that you don't get more equitable than
Hmm.
poetry.
Yes, yes.
Anything, anybody, any scenario you can find in a
That's right.
poem
That's
if
right.
you look hard enough.
Hmm.
And I don't think that gets the place that it really deserves in this
Right.
particular culture,
Right.
right?
Right.
Um, so I appreciate you saying that. And it's worth it. It's so
Yeah,
worth it.
100%.
I'm a much
100%.
kinder, gentler woman because of poetry.
Right. Right.
Absolutely. I mean, I could be a Hellcat on wheels, but I'm not, right?
Right.
Because of poetry,
Thank you,
right?
poems.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So it is a much needed sacred space. So
Ashe.
thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, it's a wrap. We made it through another episode of Break Down the Poet and the Poems. We want to thank Chisara again for coming to join us for this episode. Oh my goodness. If you would please show the poet and the poems some love, leave your comments. Follow up on her bio and website, and all of that kind of stuff will be down below in the description. Check her out if she has a speaking engagement, a workshop on stage, or showing her visual art somewhere anytime soon. Stay tuned and make sure that you show the poet and the poems some love. And thank you for joining us for this breakdown, and we hope you join us for another one.
This opportunity is made possible through the Literary Arts Projects, a program of South Arts.